Hey everyone, it's Mr. Anderson coming to you one more time with a section from our CP/M Common Core Algebra ebook. And we're going to talk today about section 8.1.4. And we're going to really ask and answer the question, can it still be factored? Our goal today is to factor things completely. So we've got it into some things that are no longer factorable, prime, if you will. And we're going to use kind of this idea of factoring with a greatest common factor to lead us in here. And we've got it here on the screen. It says there's several ways to write the number 12 as a product of factors. For example, 12 can be rewritten as 3 times 4, as 2 times 6, 1 times 12, or as 2 times 2 times 3. The only one of those things that's considered factoring completely is 2 times 2 times 3 is because 2, 2, and 3 are all prime factors of 12. And of course, 2 times 2 times 3 makes 12, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to try to consider the same thing in our current work with trinomials. And I've got some things set up here in our notes, and I'm going to ask you to do something as we get going in these notes here. And the thing I'm going to ask you to do, I've got my work set up here. I'm going to ask you to try, excuse me, let me close this window. I'm going to ask you to try to factor parts A, B, and C. So a little bit of a review here. Try to factor A, B, and C. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to put it back on the screen, and you're going to have the ability to check your work. So on your mark, ready, set, go. Try to factor A, B, and C. Okay, so during that real quick break there, I went ahead and I factored parts A and B and C, and I've got my answers on the screen for you guys. We're going to factor part D together, and I'll go through that process, and we'll use part D as a reminder of everything. But ladies and gentlemen, if you need help with A, B, or C, don't forget to reach out to your teacher. Like I said, those solutions aren't going to be covered here, but we will check out part D, and you can look for a pattern in my work that might help unlock parts A, B, or C. I'll do this in purple. And ladies and gentlemen, you can see that as we've done in class, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my squared term here, and I'm going to put my constant term here in our box. And one of the things I'm aware of as I'm doing this, getting ready to do some factoring, is what is 3n, sorry about that. What is 3n squared times 6? Okay, and the answer is it becomes 18n squared. And the reason that matters is because the product of my diagonals has to be the same. Okay, so I need this other diagonal when I multiply it to be 18n squared as well. So I'm going to start to break up factors of 3n squared. I know 3 is a prime number, so I can factor that into 1n and 3n. And that means this right here in the lower right is going to be a multiple of 3. And I can do a little work to get 18 n squared there as well. And I can do that with like 2 and 3, because I know 2 and 3 go into 6, or 1 and 6, because I know those are my other options. So let's just consider real quick 2 and 3. Let's see how this works. If I put a 3 here and a 2 right here, because I know 2 times 3 makes 6. Okay, now what's 3n times 3? Well, that's 9n. That's not too bad. What's 1n times 2? That's 2n. That's not too bad. All right. Does 2n times 9n make 18n squared? It sure does. Well, what's the problem? Does it add up to 9n? The answer is no. So unfortunately, I know those things aren't going to work out for me. I've got to consider the other options, right? Or a different multiplication, right? So like we said 2 and 3, but we had them arranged with the 3 down here and the 2 up there. So I'll put the 3 up here this time and the 2 down here. Let's see what happens here. Okay, 1n times 3 is 3n. 3n times 2 is 6n. Now is 3n times 6n still 18n squared? Sure is. But what's the difference this time? What is 3n plus 6n? That's the 9n that I need. Okay, so I know this is my correct factorization. I can write this as 3n plus 3, and I can also write it as 1n plus 2. Okay? There's a quick review of some factoring skills that we've been working on. with some complete factorings there. Like I said, if some of that is still a struggle for you, don't be afraid to ask some questions about it. Okay. In number 36, it says, and it leads us to try to answer this question about factoring completely. It says, is there more than one factored form of what we did here in letter D? Why or why not? And the answer is going to be, for this, yes, there is. Okay. And it has to do with what we see in our factored form right here. Look at this first binomial here, and I'm going to ask you, what do you notice about 3n and 3? And if you're looking at this and you're saying, both of these numbers are a multiple of 3. Yeah, you've got it. They have a factor in common, and that's really what's going to drive our work today. Okay, why does this have more than one factored form? It's for exactly what I said, because there is a GCF. A GCF, of course, is going to be, I'll remind you, a greatest common factor that can be factored out. I say that, and now I look at the whole trinomial, and I recognize that 3n squared, 9n, and 6 has a, all of those terms have a GCF, and I'll show you that here in just a second. All right, so I'm just going to give you a quick clue as to what that is. And I'll do this using green, I suppose, here. 3 and 3. I can take a 3 out of both of those things, and I can rewrite this. And when I do this, this becomes n and 1. And now I've got an additional factored form. Notice I didn't touch that second binomial, but I've got an additional factored form with this 3 factored out. Okay, so those two things are the exact same. It's just looks a little different, and we'll see that here. And I'm just going to zoom in, and we're going to tackle this one. I'm going to just rewrite this having factored a 3 out. So we've got a 3 coming out of all those terms, so it's going to be n squared. 9n, when I factor out a 3, is going to be 3n, and then 6 when I factor out a 3 is 2. Now, is this thing factorable? The answer is, of course it is. I could draw up the generic rectangle, but I can write this as factored into two binomials as well. Okay, some of you guys are going to have the pattern down by now, and you're going to understand what I'm asking when I say, hey, what are the factors of 2 that add up to 3, right? And you might recognize that they are 1 and 2, right? And oops, I got to have a plus sign in there. And notice that's exactly what I had. Let's use a different color. Let's use blue. That's exactly what I had up here. It matches exactly what I have down here. Okay, so it looks a little bit differently, and some of you are saying, hey, I've written this area as a sum. I've written it as a product. Now I'm factoring out a GCF. Why does it serve me to rewrite these things so differently all the time? And the answer to that question is the number of different ways we can write these things does impact our ability to problem solve. So if we look at a problem a little bit differently, it does sometimes open up our eyes to the way we can solve, right? Part C is a really, really important question, and it's going to have us look at these Roman numeral problems down here. It says, without factoring, predict which quadratic expressions below may have more than one factor form. Be prepared to defend your answer. Well, again, we're just looking for that GCF. So ask yourself this: do 12, 10, and 2 have any factors in common? Answer is yeah. What can I take out all of them? It's 2. So this one for sure is going to have more than one factored form. What about 10, 25, and 15? Do they have any factors in common? Yeah. What is it? It's 5, right? So for sure that one's going to have more than one factored form. What about 5, 23, and 10? Well, 5 and 10 do, but 23 is prime. It's got to be common to all of those terms. And lastly, what about 3, 7, and 6? One more time, 3 and 6 have a factor in common, but 7 is prime, and it is not 3 and 6 are not multiples of 7, so there we go. We've got no factors in common in 2 and 4 there, only factors in common in 1 and 3. Okay? Often we would then factor that greatest common factor out so we could make it an easy factorization. I'm going to go through one or two of these problems, showing you that process again, reviewing that complete factorization, and let's go ahead and talk about it here. We're going to start with part A here, where it says factor each of these expressions as completely as possible. And part A is a good start because I recognize that when I go to do this, I can factor out a 5 from all of those things. Now the rewrite, the accurate rewrite is really important here. Okay, the accurate rewrite, if I pull that 5 out, if I don't rewrite it accurately, I'm not going to be able to factor it accurately either. Okay, now look at the way I've rewritten this. This maybe takes a lot of anxiety out of this. Okay, I no longer have a leading coefficient of 5. Okay, maybe if you're building this with algebra tiles, it's a lot easier of a build. Think of how many fewer tiles that is, right? Okay, so now let's jump into the factoring, because ultimately we've got our area as a sum right here. I want to write it as a product, and I want to do so using our generic rectangle again to remind you of that process. I'm only going to put the trinomial in here. So I'm going to put an x squared here, and I'm going to put a -4 there. All right, and so now it's like, okay, x squared times -4 gives me negative, that's a multiplication by the way, not a subtraction. It gives me -4x squared. Okay, so whatever I need that goes in right here, it's got to have a product of -4x squared. Well, here's kind of what I'm thinking already, and this is why it's a good idea to factor out that greatest common factor. The only two factors of x squared are x and x. Okay, well, that helps me. 4's got a couple different factors. It's got 2 and 2. I'm sorry, -4. 2 and -2. And then the combinations of 1 and 3. One's got to be positive and one's got to be negative. I recognize... I said 1 and 3. I meant 1 and 4. My bad. I recognize that this middle number is positive, indicating that when I go to add them up, my bigger factor needs to be positive. So that's gonna do some telling here, right? I know I need a bigger number, so I'm not gonna go with 2 and 2. So I'm gonna go with 1 and 4. It doesn't really matter where I put these because my factors of x squared are the same. So I'm gonna put a 1 there and a 4 there. I multiply, I got x times 4, that gives me 4x. I've got x times 1, that gives me 1x. Now, I'm not done yet, right? Because those don't multiply to be -4x. I know one's got to be negative, but which one is it? As I already mentioned, because my 3x in the middle of my trinomial is positive, my bigger number's got to be the positive one, so that means that's got to be negative. Now let's do a quick check here. Do these two terms multiply to be -4x squared? For sure they do. Do they add up to be 3x? For sure they do. So I know I've got the appropriate factorization. This is going to be x plus 4 times x minus 1. And you could write those binomials in any order there. All right, I'm going to try to go to another one quickly here, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to try to knock this out so we can get a second problem in. And I'm going to do one of these special products that we see right here. And it is what we see in letter C. I'll rewrite this having factored that 2 out. Okay, now there is no middle term, and maybe that binomial is like forcing you to recognize this as a special product, because when I go to write my x squared here and my -25 here, some of you know something about that -25 that's going to inform us here. All right, so I've got x squared, I've got 25. The only factors, one more time, of x squared are x and x. That maybe makes my job easier having factored that 2 out. But now what are the factors of 25? That have, because there's no middle term, a difference of 0. Whoa, okay, so it's not going to be 25 and 1. It's going to have to be the other factor pair. Because 25 is a perfect square, it's going to have to be 5 and 5. Now, it is -25. It is -25. And that means one of them has to be negative. And conveniently, what do you know about 5 and -5? All right, watch this. 5 times x is 5x. -5 times x is -5x. What do -5x and +5x add to? 0, right? Okay. And then, do -5x and +5x multiply to be -25x squared? They sure do. So we're in good shape. I know I've got the appropriate factorization. All right, ladies and gents, just a tiny bit of review preview here for you. Just 4 questions. I want you to try these things so you help identify and isolate some questions so you've got the power to ask those questions. I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.